We've got a championship fight in the schedule tonight. NABO Bantamweight title. Millan is the champion. Julio wants the title. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Great Western Forum, Budweiser's Night of Championship Boxing, and our championship adventure is about to begin. The NABO Bantamweight title on the line tonight. Millan is the champion. Jorge Julio would like to get the title, and Jimmy Lennon Jr. is going to introduce the fighters.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our featured bout of the evening. 12 rounds of action for the NABO title. Prepare to welcome the fighters as they make their way to the ring. First, ladies and gentlemen, introducing tonight's challenger from Colombia, introducing Jorge Eliecer Julio.
Jorge Eliecer Julio is the former WBA Bantamweight champion. Won 4 straight fights.
Tommy was a bronze medalist in the 1988 Olympic Games, who turned pro then in early 1989, won his first 26 fights, including the world title, before he lost to Junior Jones.
He comes into the ring tonight with a sparkling record, 30-1 and 24 knockouts. He's only 26, and yet he comes in as the challenger, because the champion is a young man from Mexico City, who will be introduced by Jimmy Lennon Jr. right now.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the defending champion from Mexico. Here comes Sergio Millan.
Sergio Millan out of Mexico City. Has an oriental look about him. Hence the nickname Japonés or Japonés.
You got to get together with Shibata Flores.
Indeed. He's a interesting fighter, a crowd pleaser to be sure. Southpaw, doesn't mind getting hit twice to land one.
And Tom, although he and Jorge Julio started their professional careers thousands of miles apart, they actually did it one day apart back in March of 1989.
This promises to be an interesting fight. We'll tell you more about these two as it gets along. Here's Jimmy Lennon Jr. again.
Ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us across the nation on Prime, we welcome you to our featured attraction of the evening, brought to you by Forum Boxing Incorporated, along with Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. This bout coming away is sanctioned by the North American Boxing Organization Supervisor Manny Montano, along with the California State Athletic Commission, the Chairman William Eastman, Vice Chairman Willie Buchanan, Executive Director is Richard DeCure. Introducing to you the judges scoring this bout from ringside, we have Chuck Hassett, Vince Delgado, and Raul Cais, and a referee in charge of this bout, introducing Larry Rosadilla. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening, the NABO Bantamweight Championship, scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first the challenger on my left, fighting out of the red corner. He enters the ring wearing white trunks and joining us from Barranquilla, Colombia. He weighed in at the bantamweight limit of 118 pounds even. His outstanding record includes 30 wins, only 1 defeat, with 24 wins coming by way of knockout. Introducing Jorge Eliecer Julio. And his opponent across the ring is the defending champion on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, entering the ring wearing trunks of the same color, blue trunks with white trim, fighting out of Mexico City, Xochimilco, Distrito Federal, Mexico. He weighed in at a trim and ready 116 1/4 pounds, with a record of 23 wins, 9 losses, and 1 draw. He has 20 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the NABO Bantamweight champion, introducing Sergio Japonés Millan. Once again, a referee in charge, Larry Rosadilla, now to give instructions.
Que hablamos anteriormente, quiebra limpia, pelea. Cuando quiere que se separen, va a decir break fuera, limpio, sin tirar golpes. Dale la mano. Bueno, suerte.
Well, for a long time, Rosadilla couldn't get him to meet him in the middle of the ring. Here's the tail of the tape. Millan is 5'3", Julio 5'5 and a half, 116 and a quarter. Julio weighed 118, the bantamweight limit. He is 3 years older and has a couple of inches advantage, not only in height, but in the reach department. He has been almost inactive, has been Julio, despite a magnificent record of 30 wins and only 1 loss. In fact, he had 1 fight in 95, and this is his first go in 96. This is also the first fight in 96 for the champion, Millan.
Julio fought that 1 fight in December of last year, Tom, against Jose Morales, so he stopped in 3 rounds. That was his first fight, though, in a year. He does have a 4-fight winning streak coming into this match.
What keeps a fighter this good out of the ring that long, Rich?
Well, I think
nobody wants to fight him?
Initially, probably disappointment over losing the championship, and then, you know, it's sometimes fights just fall out. They make fights, they just don't happen.
The southpaw is Millan. He's the current champion.
And he won the title, the NABO title, which is the North American Championship in the World Boxing Organization. It's an offshoot of the WBO. The NABO title went to Sergio Millan. Back in December, he stopped Armando Castro in Mexico in 8 rounds to win that crown.
With his prominent high cheekbones, as you watch this fight go along, you'll be under the impression that he's unable to see out of both eyes, but his face looks right now as though he has been in a fight, but he hasn't. Just the high cheekbones that gave him the nickname, like being an Oriental, Japanese, Japonese. He's a southpaw. Has a chin that is highly suspect. Has a reputation of going down. Also has a reputation of getting back up.
Right. Even in a lot of the fights, Tom, that he wins, he will be knocked down in Sergio Millan. And just to, we told you, his fights, you never know quite what to expect. He's also lost a couple by disqualification, so expect anything here.
He's run the gamut in his career, which is a very nice one. Make no mistake about it. 23 wins, 9 losses, and 20 knockouts. So he's got some sock, as has Jorge Julio, and their heads come together for just a brief moment. Third man in the ring is Larry Rosadilla, veteran arbiter.
Jorge Julio, although he's boxing pretty well in this round, Tom, really is a banger, and I think you will see him opening up, and he likes to mix it up. He's aggressive, he's strong, he's got a good chin, he's obviously in great shape, he's very quick-handed.
Well, in that case, because Millan is also cut from that same cloth, he doesn't mind a brawl or two. This could be, as the fight gets along and they break a sweat and get to realize who's in there against them, why this could be a real wild, free-swinging affair before it's over.
Well, Millan usually is in brawls.
Round 1 has just a handful of seconds remaining. Nice crowd on hand here at the Great Western Forum, and this bantamweight title bout continues. Round 2 in a moment. Out they come for round 2, scheduled for 12 for the NABO bantamweight title. I know somebody won the first round, Rich, but I had a tough time picking one out.
I had a slight edge for Julio, and I just thought he was a little bit busier, so I gave him the 10-9 margin. Julio has shifted back and forth. You know, he came out in the first few seconds of the last round southpaw, switched to right-handed the rest of the round, comes out here now at the start of round 2 southpaw.
Catches a left hand thrown by the champion, Millan, kind of high on the cheek on the right side of his face. Millan's in the blue trunks and Julio in the white trimmed and black. Millan is the NABO champion, the bantamweight division.
And former Mexican champion as well, Tommy. Also, he tried to win the NABF champion, but he ran into a talented youngster by the name of Paulie Ayala, who's making a lot of friends as he goes up the ladder, and lost to Ayala last September in a 12-round decision.
Julio is from Colombia. Millan is from Mexico City. Larry Rosadilla, the third man in the ring. And a nice crowd on hand here at the Great Western Forum.
I think in the right-handed stance, Julio's having a problem landing his jab so far, Tom. His jab is just running right into the hand, the upright hand of Sergio Millan. So he's been trying now to square up a little bit more and throw the right hand lead. He's just pawing out the left, using it almost as a rangefinder. Not having any success at all as Julio with his jab.
Well, he ought to switch to throw that left hand as a hook then. Bang it to the body and let the right hand come in behind it.
See, it's just throwing it out there in a motion. None of these are landing from Julio.
No.
He's throwing the left hand out. I think he's really looking for the right as he throws that out there. He's hoping to keep Millan occupied with that left hand and then hit him with a surprise right.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the strategy, but you've got to make it work by hitting him with the left hand. Why can't he take a step to his left and hook him with the left and throw the right hand behind it? He hasn't done it yet. There's a right hand at the midsection thrown by Julio, and it might have been just a tad low, but no big fuss from beyond the champion. They're working with the hook to the body there, left hand. Beyond in blue, Jorge Julio from Colombia in the white trimmed and black.
Real edge and hand speed, it looks like here, Tom, to Jorge Julio. Could serve him well tonight. Millan kind of winging his punches right now, not really landing anything sharply.
Right hand by Julio landed a moment ago. Round number 2 coming to a close. Scheduled for 12, and there's the bell. Well, Rich Murata's put together another fine list, the devastating dozen.
It's our pound-for-pound list, Tom, and a lot has happened in the last 6 weeks.
Yes, and I couldn't be happier about the number 7 placement. I thought Whitaker was something less than the best pound-for-pound fighter that the press has given him that accolade for many, many years till Jones came along.
Right, we dropped him down from 2 to 7. Oscar De La Hoya goes up. Mike Tyson makes a big jump as a result of his victory over Frank Bruno. We've got
over a scared Frank Bruno.
Yes, petrified, actually. Yes. But look at who's number 6. Ike Corte making his first appearance. He was sensational the other night and just devastating. The solid professional by the name of Vince Phillips, who we have seen here so often.
And Vince, you know, what a great fighter he was. Had his problems, came back, has got his life in order. He was really going after that title, and Corte just destroyed him.
We saw Wayne McCulloch there in the number 10 spot. We just saw him on Prime last week defend against Jose Luis Bueno. And, of course, Mark Too Sharp Johnson in number 12. He'll be fighting on that big pay-per-view card against Francisco Tejedor at the Anaheim Pond.
Some guys with a lot of sock on that list. None bigger, in our opinion, than Roy Jones Jr., but
he's just in another world.
Yes, he is. That's right.
They should just make him and then just start a new list from 1 to 12 for everybody else.
Oh, my. We're in round number 3, scheduled for 12, NABO. Bantamweight championship on the line. Larry Rosadilla is the referee, the man in the blue trunks. Sergio Millan is the Bantamweight champion. NABO, the man in the white trunks. Jorge Julio, at one time, was the WBA Bantamweight champ.
And he beat a good fighter to get it, Tom. He beat Eddie Cook, who we saw give Marco Antonio Barrera a tremendous battle.
Right. And he got Barrera's attention along about the 6th round, hit him right in the middle of his face, and Barrera, from that point on, just literally destroyed Cook.
And so he beat him with a 12-round decision. Did Julio to win the WBA title in October of '92. He made 2 successful defenses, including a decision win over Ricardo Vargas, a very good fighter, before losing the title a year later to Junior Jones. And even in that fight, he had Jones down in the fight that he lost in the 5th round. Couldn't maintain that pace.
To get back to Whitaker for a moment, he'd better avoid the likes of Corte or Felix Trinidad.
Well, I would agree, Tom, to this. I think he'll probably try to fight one of the 2 for a big payday and try to redeem himself, but I personally would make Trinidad or Corte a favorite, and I would pick either one of those 2 to beat Pernell Whitaker.
Nice solid exchange there. Good punches thrown. Nice solid left hands landed by both men.
And, you know, I think Millan came out the better of that exchange.
Well, he certainly jolted Jorge Julio there with that left. He got him flush in the chin.
And he showed that he could throw a straight punch there, Tom. He's mostly winging his punches.
We're in round number 3. It's scheduled for 12. Julio's been out of the ring for a long, extended period. He fought once in 1995, was a winner back in December. Has won 4 in a row. But it has been a long time. Millan has been a a bit more active, but he too has had some long moments away from the ring. John Beirudi, publicist here, Great Western Forum for Boxing, pointed up, I think, a very important fact that Millan, while his record is 23-9, fought on a very tough, as Beirudi put it, Mexican circuit. That is not an easy way to make a living. Big exchange here. This round comes to a close.
Much better third round for Sergio Millan. Landed several clean punches like that straight left that you just saw. Tom, I gave that third round to Sergio Millan. I thought he bounced back and had a very nice round.
I couldn't agree more. The left hand might have been the best punch of the fight so far. And in fact, it looked as though he caught Julio a couple of times there in a very rapid-fire exchange. However, I do have Julio ahead 2-1, but my scorecard means nothing. Things are beginning to pick up as we anticipated when we commented these two guys really love a fight. I mean, they are true professionals, but they do love to get in the ring and mix it up.
Well, Millan's game usually is wearing down an opponent, Tom. He likes to get in there. Okay, he'll brawl, but he's very game, so he's going to hang in there with you, even if you get him down on the ground. And, he just gets in his opponent's faces and just tries to wear him down. And he was right there in Julio's face, winging punches.
That's some pretty good defensive work by both men. Julio managed to catch a couple of those high on the bicep, slipped them, and really wasn't nailed too hard by anything Millan threw, and right away he came back with a counter charge, and Millan effectively handled most of those punches. So these are two guys who know the way around the squared circle. Make no mistake about that. They've got enough punching power out there they can put you away.
The one big thing, though, that's been separating the two, I guess, Tom, through their careers has been the chin. Julio's had a good chin, and Millan has not.
No, absolutely correct. Pretty good right hand by Millan.
And a good body shot, although Julio came right back on a counter.
Yes. Now they're standing there almost toe-to-toe.
Now, this is what I expected now, Tom.
Yeah. I think the fight has started here in round number 4. 118-pounders. Although I'm sure here as they stand in the ring, they probably are closer to 124 or 25 pounds. Wild right hand by Millan sailed over the shoulder and the neck. That right hand hit Julio on the side of the chin. Julio in white, Millan the champion, NABO Bantamweight King in blue. Julio's had only one loss in a brilliant career. Made Millan miss with most of those. Now he comes out as a southpaw. And he grins as Millan and he walk away from each other here at the end of round number 4. Follow Julio back to his corner. Richard Maldonado is leading in. Now we're over on the other side with Millan. Francisco Delgado is his second. Using a little of the end swell on his face, I commented briefly that his physical appearance has an oriental look to it, hence the high cheekbones, and any series of punches there in the cheeks causes them to swell up and almost closes his eyes, so they work the end swell pretty good. Over with with Julio.
Ricardo Maldonado finds himself in quite a few good corners.
Yes, indeed.
Recently,
yes,
doesn't he?
Yep.
The likes of Barrera and the young rising star Nestor Garza.
Yeah. Julio's got some quick hands, as you pointed out, Rich. He counters well and bobbing and weaving coming in.
Yeah, he's showing a lot of upper body movement so far in this round. I think he's disappointed with the way he got hit and clean shots the last couple of rounds. Oh, that was a
Good right hand.
Jolting right.
Good right hand. And even more so than because Millan's chin in the past probably has not taken a punch like that without him being on the back of his lap. He caught that one flush and did not seem to affect him that much at all.
And Julio is not without power. 24 KOs in his 30 victories.
Right. Lands another right hand. There's a right hand. Jolts Millan again. This one caught him high on the right cheek.
I think he stunned him with that one, Tom. I think he's a little wobbly right now.
Yep, I think you're right.
Millan might be right for the taking here.
Yep. Millan is not nearly as interested in this fight as he was 10 seconds ago. See how his recuperative powers are. Got hit with a right and a pretty good left hand. And Julio moving right in on him now. Millan's in blue, Julio in white.
Julio's been punching very straight in this round, and it's really worked his advantage. He's come out a lot more body movement, confused Millan a little bit, and his punches have been landing.
Round number 5, scheduled for 12. Title defense by Millan, NABO, Bantamweight title. Of course, Julio, in case you're a stranger to him, was at one time the WBA Bantamweight champion. 30-1 is his career. 24 knockouts out of Colombia, just 26 years of age. Certainly looks, as Jimmy Lennon would say, fit and ready, doesn't he, Rich? So far, he's had by far and away the best of this round number 5.
Although Millan showed some recuperative powers here, Tom, I thought he was just about ready to go with that early onslaught.
I did too, and he almost kind of stopped fighting back, looking to regain his composure and what have you, and he apparently has, although Julio's back on top of him again now. Backing him up. Julio keeps backing Millan up. As the round is coming to a close, Millan with a flurry, not all of which was effective. Round 5 in the books. Nice big round for Jorge Julio. Will follow Millan back to his corner.
Big action in that round from Jorge Julio. He landed several clean shots during the course of the round. Look at that right on the chin. That one knocked back Millan a couple of steps. Follow up right there, and it appeared as though Millan was a little bit wobbly at this point. Millan trying to fight back later in the round, but look at that right hand. That is clean and crisp. Sure they're feeling a little bit better over in the corner of Julio.
Well, they give you that impression as you look in on them. Things very calm and quiet over there. Looks like a bit of swelling on the cheekbones of the champion, Sergio Millan. He's in the blue trunks. Action now here in round number 6. Neither man has been down. Diaz, the referee. Bad jab by Julio.
Yeah, see, he threw that jab with some purpose, Tom, which he's doing now, which helps him out. It helps all the rest of his game as well. Earlier in the fight, he's just pawing it out there.
He landed one right hand that was just a tad short, and the other one was just a bit closer to the target, both of which backed Millan up. There's a nice jab again. Snaps Millan's head back and does it again.
Well, he could have been doing this earlier in the fight, I think. But, you know, it was in the last round, Tom, where you could see almost at the very beginning of the round that, you know, he just had a purposeful look when he came out of his corner, started that upper body movement, started throwing crisp punches like, hey, now it's time to go to work.
He and Millan are having a little trouble with their lead foots. In the case of Julio, it's his left, and in the case of Millan, it's his right. They're standing on one another more often than not, causing each other to stumble about. Letting the southpaw get your foot outside of his. hook him with the left hand and throw the right hand right down the middle. It's hard for him to escape. There's a right hand by Julio.
The punch that Angelo Dundee, I talked to him about fighting southpaws that he really likes, which is contrary to the opinion of, which most people say throwing that straight right is the most effective thing. He thinks that the counter left hook is the best punch to throw against a left-hander who throws that jab out there. And if you can counter that jab with a left hook, he feels that the man is open there for you. So he tries to teach his fighters a counter left hook when they're going to face a southpaw.
And now all of a sudden we've got both men in the southpaw stance out there, and now Jorge Julio comes back and goes to the orthodox style. But if you throw that hook with the left hand, Rich, and hook him to the body, you're going to keep him right in front of you. He's not going to be able to move to his right. Now Julio is switching to the southpaw stance. I don't know why. Throws that right hand out as a jab and lands with it. Then comes back with a left hand and finds Millan's jaw. Coming to the end of round number 6. Kind of a quiet round. 5 ended in a flurry. This one is 2. We'll be back. Rich Murata's scorecard has Jorge Julio up by 2 points, 58-56. As the two men come out now for round number 7, scheduled for 12 with the NABO Bantamweight title to the winner. Sergio Millan in the blue is the Bantamweight champion. Lands a pretty good left hand. Nice jab with the right as he starts out action against Jorge Julio, former WBA Bantamweight champion. There goes the deal, separates the two men.
Seems to be coming fast right now. He's putting that left foot down hard, pivoting on it, throwing punches right off.
Not a bad left hand, sent a spray of nice counter punches by Millan. Answering, comes back with several solid shots of his own.
That's like Sergio stopped and put his own foot down. He's got enough of that.
Yes.
Let me throw for a while.
And now there they are, toe-to-toe. Julio against the ropes. Millan trying to measure him, and Julio says, up. The fight's right over here. Come on. He swings to the southpaw stance. Nice combinations thrown by Millan. Get inside, hold, and rough each other up. We're in round number 7 of a scheduled 12-rounder. Either man has been down. Julio looks the stronger of the two, but I don't know. It just physically gives you that impression.
Millan's doing some good stuff this round, though.
Yeah, had a good right hand to the body, Rich. The right hand to the jaw, the follow-up missed. The hook, but I'm surprised we haven't had a headbutt as close as these two men have been. Forehead to forehead here. Millan missing.
Yeah, just wild. There's those winging punches again.
Yeah.
Easy to avoid. Especially when you have the quick upper body movement that Julio does.
This combination by Julio scores for him, driving Millan back, fall into a clinch. Rosadilla pulls him apart. There's the bell. That's the end of round number 7. And we'll follow Jorge Julio back to his corner. Richard Maldonado leaning in.
Now we go back and take a look at the round 7 action. Julio gets hit with a clean left hand, a right, and then another left by Millan. Good combination by Sergio Millan. Look at that left hand by Millan. That one landed cleanly, and that one drove Julio back a couple of steps. Very good moments there for Sergio Millan.
Me lo saca bien al salir, ¿eh?
I'll take it over there. I'll take it over. Okay. No está tirando suficientes golpes. ¿No te quieres ir haciendo presión?
He looks a little weary over in his corner, though. Do you see that sigh and
Yeah.
deep breath?
Well, it has not been an easy 7 rounds for either one of these two. I think it has been a more enervating one for Millan, although he jogs his way out of the corner, sprints out to meet Julio. Center of the ring as round number 8 gets underway. Millan is the champion. Julio starts him out with a good look at that jab. Millan comes back with a couple of solid shots to the body. Julio's got a couple of inches in the reach department, a couple of inches in height. 5'5" to 5'3".
Julio's had a little trouble getting as close in the last round or so to Millan as he was prior to that, Tom. Even though Julio has the reach advantage here, Millan actually has done a little better when he's on the outside. When Julio gets inside, he can go quick and flurry, real quick punches, and then get right back out again.
Julio had the benefit of stepping right on the right foot of Millan. He did it again. And Millan trying to get away, staggered away, and the crowd thought Julio had hit him a shot causing that. In point of fact, he is stepping all over his right foot. Julio in the white, Millan the champion in blue. Julio giving you a look at that bolo right hand. Now you see it, now you don't. And they fall into a pretty good clinch, and Rosadilla separates them.
Still the side-to-side body movement from Julio to try to get in to where he can do his flurries. That jab sure has looked better in the last couple of rounds than it did earlier in the fight from Julio.
Yep.
When you jab well, then you can follow right behind with that right cross.
Makes out that jab again. Didn't land with those two, but he forced Millan to back up. Can't fight backing up, champion or not. The jab and the right hand behind it. Millan backing away. Had a devastating punch from Julio, but one that scores nonetheless. Less than half a minute remaining here in round number 8 of a scheduled 12-rounder. The NABO Bantamweight title. Millan has it. He's backpedaling now. And puts a headlock on Julio. Round 8 coming to a close. The championship still very much to be decided. We'll be back in a moment. So we're back to action here at the Great Western Forum, round number 9. Jorge Julio in the white, Sergio Millan in blue. He's the NABO Bantamweight champion. Julio had the WBA title. Lost it to Junior Jones in October of '93. Only loss he's ever had.
But obviously, the real deal, Tom. We're not one of those Colombian fighters who somehow mysteriously get rated 1, 2, or 3 in some of these sanctioning organizations, and they really can't fight.
No.
But this guy, he can fight.
He can fight. So can Harold Gray, the other youngster we saw come out of Colombia, who was a big surprise. Remember Harold Gray?
Yes, absolutely.
I keep asking you and Jimmy Lennon, whatever happened to him? Why isn't he fighting? I don't see him around anywhere.
We fought Julio Cesar Balboa again and beat him again.
Just to make it set game, and next time it'll be match, huh?
And now almost exact replay of their first fight.
What a surprise he was. And how surprised was Balboa? man has been down. Pretty good right hand there by Julio. Left hand, he's been throwing that jab out. Stuck out a right hand there as the jab, switching to the southpaw stance, and that's where he is now.
He's fought quite a bit southpaw tonight, quite a bit right-handed. I think he's been a little more effective right-handed myself.
He seems to be the fresher of the two out there. And you get the impression, though it may not be a valid one, that he's a heavier hitter. Or the heaviest hitter of the two.
One thing about Millan, though, he will always fight you. He'll be glad to step right into the center of the ring and fight you.
Yep. Sergio Japones Millan. Jorge Julio forcing the action, backing Millan up.
Millan into a more of a defensive posture. Tom looking to survive the round, it looks like.
Would appear. Maybe try to steal it here in the closing seconds. Not going to happen, I don't believe. There's the bell. Right hand thrown by Julio right at the bell. And Rosadilla's taking a point away from him. Oh, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
All right, we'll take a look now. We'll see if we can hear the bell sound. It seems as though he had enough time there to decide not to throw a punch. You saw the natural time and natural sound along with it there. So 1 point deducted. I had Julio winning the round, Tom. 10
Doesn't win it now.
So it now becomes a 9-9 round. That's the way you would score that if you agree that Julio won that round.
Well, I think he did. I think Millan would agree that Julio had the best of that round. Which continues to make it a very, very close fight. Here's a look at Sergio Millan. Up they come. He comes dashing across. Round 10, scheduled for 12. Well, we'll see if the point deduction kind of spurs Jorge Julio on as he labors away at the body. Rosadill cautions him about his forehead. 86-84 on Rich Murata's card. Jorge Julio with a 2-point advantage.
And 1 point deducted from that as well.
Yes.
Again.
Might be my imagination, but it seems to me that the right eye of Millan is beginning to close, or at least swell up considerably, puff up around the lower portion.
Julio reminds me at times of some of his mannerisms, even looks a little like him in style as Wilfred Benitez. Same kind of quick-handed, same kind of upper body movement, jumping around, a lot of nervous energy.
Take a look at his face and give it a good, long, serious thought. Tell me that if he was 5'11" and weighed about 215 pounds, who would you think he was?
What are we talking about, Julio?
Yes. Does he look like Sonny Liston to you?
That may take a long look at him.
Take a good long look and just envision him as being 5'11" and 220 pounds.
I think I can see that there, Tom.
The mustache.
I'm still afraid of Sonny.
You're afraid of Floyd Patterson, too, and you're his biggest fan. I won't tell the people about that, though. That'll be my secret, unless you don't behave. Action in round 10, scheduled for 12. Neither man has been down. Julio's had a point deducted for hitting after the bell in round 9.
I can't believe you're questioning my courage.
Not your courage. Just that you seem to have more temerity than courage when it comes to Floyd Patterson. People are going to think that Patterson chose you for some altercation in the middle of the street or something and you ran away. Wasn't anything that serious.
No, I did have a chance to meet my idol once.
That's right.
I did freeze up.
Round 10. Handful of seconds left. Millan circling and Julio in the center of the ring. We'll be back to see about round 11 right after this. Round 11, it's scheduled for 12. Neither man has been down. Millan is in the blue trunks. He's the NABO Bantamweight champion. Jorge Julio out of Colombia, former WBA Bantamweight champ, scores with a solid right hand at the point of the chin of Millan. Rich Murata, I don't think Millan has done enough and scored enough points in this fight to keep his title, although I might be mistaken.
Doesn't appear to me as though he has, Tom, especially in the last 3 rounds. He hasn't been landing clean shots on Julio.
And Julio has forced the action, has backed him up considerably, and has landed the more telling blows. Millan is in the blue.
And a real jolting uppercut in close that just snapped the head back of Sergio Millan. I know he felt that one, Tom.
Had to. He got nailed with the right hand, kind of caught him with his legs crossed.
You know, so many times those little short jolting or chopping punches that travel 6-8 inches, Tom, those are the ones that really hurt an opponent.
He just got hit with another uppercut with the left hand in close. They're having trouble with their footwork. The southpaw having Julio standing on his foot most of the time. Right hand by Jorge Julio. Julio's had a point taken away for hitting after the bell in round 9. He looks to be the fresher of the 2 men. Not a bad right hand by Millan.
Not enough of them, Tom. It was a good punch.
Yes, it was, and he gets a pretty good punch in return. A nice right hand by Julio. It's only the second fight that Jorge Julio has had in all of 95 and into the first quarter of 96. He fought in December of 95, did not have another fight at all in 95. 26 years of age. Lost only once. Junior Jones beat him for the WBA Bantamweight title. Defended it twice and lost to Jones.
And we just saw Jones beat Orlando Canizales not long ago, so he's back up at the top of his game, it appears, as well.
Round 11. That's quickly come and gone. Just 5 seconds left now in round 11. And unless I've missed most of this fight, I would think that Sergio Millan is going to have to knock down Julio and or knock him out to win this fight and to keep his title. I could be wrong. Oftentimes I am, but it would appear to me that Jorge Julio has done most of the good work in the fight and has scored with the bigger, better blows.
Well, I just think he's a much classier fighter, Tom. I mean, I think you're talking a world-class fighter here in the case of Jorge Julio against the guy who's just a notch below that, really. I mean, not to mean his talents. He's a main eventer, as far as I'm concerned, Sergio Millan, and I know he's had good fights against some opposition, but to me, you know, the cream is rising to the top in this fight, and that is Jorge Julio.
So a round to go. Sergio Millan, Julio, Jorge Julio come out, touch gloves for the 12th and final round. We'll see if Millan acts like a man possessed, like one who realizes he's got a lot of making up to do. Pretty good exchange of jabs there between the two.
All
hard to tell because of his prominent cheekbones, but it would appear that under the right eye of Millan, there's a pretty good welt, a pretty good mouse that has formed, Rich.
Yes, it is, Tom. And he's taking a lot of punches right there. Julio throws a lot of punches. Fairly accurate fighter. And I think what has happened, Tom, is that eye has been affected in the second half of the fight by the improved, straight, stiff jab of Jorge Julio that was absent through the first 5 or 6 rounds and then suddenly became a force for him. And I think that's the punch that's done most of that damage to that lead right eye.
Well, it's almost forehead to forehead between the two of them now. Julio has swung over to fight as a southpaw. Of course, Millan's been a southpaw throughout the fight and his career. But a real tribute to the conditioning of Jorge Julio. He just looks so much fresher, so much stronger. Zedilla ends up almost in a hugging embrace with both fighters. If he got any closer to the two of them, they'd have to put a protective cup on him. Couple of pretty good right hands thrown by Sergio Millan.
Well, as we said, he still wants to fight.
Yes, he does. If you told him that suddenly we're going to have to go an extra 3 or 4 to decide this whole thing, he said, it's all right with me, I'm sure. Neither man has been down. You're watching the action in round 12 of the NABO Bantamweight title go. Millan's the champion, but maybe not for long. Beautiful exchange between the two as Millan, who backed away. Jorge Julio with a lot of fans sitting right behind us. Native Colombians, I would assume. Very much cheering for their man. And, of course, Millan has got a big-time following of fellow Mexicans cheering for him.
Millan fought back pretty well in this round. He fought back very hard, Tom. He still got hit a lot of shots, but he landed more of his own as well in this round.
He did. There's the bell. The fight's over, and it was a dandy. Two very tough little guys in 118 pounds. Jorge Julio looks very much the fresher of the two fighters. We'll be back to see how the judges saw it. Will there be a new NABO champion? We'll find out in a moment. Welcome back to the Great Western Forum. This is Budweiser's Night of Championship Boxing. Tom Kelly, along with Rich Morata. Fernando Paramo's gone up into the ring. He'll be there to interview possibly the new champion of the NABO Bantamweight title. Perhaps the old champion who made a successful defense tonight. We'll await the judges' call on it. Jimmy Lennon Jr.'s compiled all the cards, and like Santa's list, he's checking it over once or twice. And he'll come to the microphone in just a bit. Frankly, from where we sat, I thought Julio won it and should be the new champion. We'll find out just how good a guess that is. Here's Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of championship boxing, we have a split decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Raul Caiz scores about 114 to 113 in favor of Sergio Millan. Judge at ringside, Vince Delgado scores about 116-111 in favor of Jorge Eliecer Julio. Judge at ringside, Chuck Hassett scores about 116-111 in favor of the winner and new NABO Bantamweight champion, Jorge Eliecer Julio.
116-111 on two cards and 114-113 on the other. There was a point taken away from Julio, but even despite that, I thought that he clearly was the best of the two men in the ring tonight, Rich.
Well, that's the exact score that I had, Tom, was 116-111 for Jorge Julio here tonight. I thought the first half of the fight was pretty close, and I thought Julio dominated the rest of the way.
Millan is very unhappy, of course, a champion who lost his title tonight. A very game, tough competitor. We had been led to believe that he had a chin that would let him go down, but it didn't, as Julio Hit him several times with several clean shots. Looked to be the stronger of the two men at the end of the fight, and is now, as the result of that, the new NABO Bantamweight champ. Here's Fernando Paramo with the new champion.
Apparently, the opponent didn't seem too happy with the decision. El oponente no se vio muy feliz con la decisión.
No, lo que pasa es que la verdad es que yo pienso que una pelea, el cual yo gané, el muchacho fue que todo el momento estuvo corriendo. Y lo otro fue que no tuvo sparring zurdo.
Basically, he says that he feels that although it was a tough fight, he felt that he did win the fight, and he had a problem not getting sparrings that were also left-handed. What happens now when you go in for a title weight right away, for a title fight? ¿Vas ahora a una pelea rápido para el título mundial?
Sí, yo ahora estoy preparándome. La verdad es que desde hace rato estoy buscando este título. Y gracias acá a mi apoderado Ricardo Maldonado, estamos en busca de ello. Yo creo que con la preparación, las ganas y el amor que yo le pongo a la carrera, como también Ricardo, yo creo que vamos a llegar a conseguir este título lo más rápido posible.
It basically says that he wants to go as fast as possible, wants to thank Ricardo Maldonado for the chance, the opportunity. He feels that he is ready and that he will get a title fight soon. Back to ringside.
Thank you, Fernando, and our congratulations to the new champion. There he is, Jorge Julio, the new